Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
This audiobook about vagus nerve exercises made over 600 sales.
Krishna, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisance to Sarguru Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to morning Bhagavatam class. This morning, we are very happy to have His Holiness Chandramauli Swami with us, who is going to be speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse 28, and the chapter is titled Dhritarashtra Quits Home. Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to you and all goes to Sri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, my obeisances to you and all the devotees.
We have 15 participants, Maharaj, and I'm hoping more will roll in.
Okay. As long as they roll in and don't roll out.
We hope, Maharaj, we hope.
Tell them to stop rolling at a certain point. We'll begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Atadicham disham yantu swagyata gatir bhavam kalam pumsam guna vikasanaha. Translation: Please, therefore, leave for the north immediately, without letting your relatives know, for soon that time will approach, which will diminish the good qualities of men. So this is Vidura instructing Dhritarashtra. Purport: One can compensate for a life of frustration by becoming a Dhira, for leaving home for good without communicating with relatives. And Vidura advised his elder brother to adopt this way without delay, because very quickly the age of Kali was approaching. The conditioned soul is already degraded by the material association. And still, in the Kali Yuga, the good qualities of a man will deteriorate to the lowest standard. He was advised to leave home before Kali Yuga approached, because the atmosphere in which was created by Vidura, his valuable instructions on the facts of life would fade away due to the influence of the age which is fast approaching. To become Narottam, a first-class human being, depending completely on the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, is not possible for an ordinary man. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7:28 that a person who is completely relieved of all taints of sinful acts can alone depend on the Supreme Personality of Godhead Shri Krishna. Dhritarashtra was advised by Vidura at least to become a Dhira in the beginning, if it were impossible for him to become a sannyasi or a Narottama. Persistently endeavoring on the line of self-realization helps a person to rise to the conditions of Narottam from the stage of Dhira. The Dhira stage is attained after prolonged practice of the yoga system. But by the grace of Vidura, one can attain the stage immediately, simply by willing to adopt the means of the Dhira stage, which is the preparatory stage for sannyas. The sannyas stage is the preparatory stage for Paramahansa, or the first grade devotee of the Lord. Om Gyantimidandasya Gyanandana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pasyatya Desatarine Panchakalpa Tirubhischa Pipa Sindhu Pevacha Vitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama So Dhritarashtra is receiving good advice from his younger brother Vidura, who is very much concerned about the welfare of Dhritarashtra after having been completely destroyed, losing all of his sons. He was blind materially, he was blind spiritually. He could not understand his position. His material blindness was due to his attachment to his sons, who were all now killed by the battle of Kurukshetra. And now he has nothing left except his good well-wisher son, Vidura. And Vidura wants to help his brother. So he's giving him good advice. Now leave for the north, go to the place of the Himalayas where the great sages, and finish your life there with tapa, penances and austerities, and perform devotional service. Here Srila Prabhupada talks about this particular stage of life called Dhira. Dhira, in the actual translation of the word, means sober, but not disturbed by happiness and distress. There's a preliminary stage for the higher stages of bhakti, where one becomes completely fixed in pure devotional service. But before one can come to that stage, one should practice at least the stage of Dhira. And that is, the material world is full of dualities. There is always causes of happiness and causes of distress. As the living entity, it gets thrown from one particular situation to another. Karnan guna sangosho sadasat joni janmasho. The living entity is not Dhira in the material world. He is attached to his so-called plans for happiness and always being distressed when he cannot find happiness in his plans, or when his attempts for happiness fails. So this Dhira stage helps one to come at least to the mode of goodness. And it's explained that the mode of goodness, there are certain qualities that are conducive to the execution of devotional service. On the Adhira stage, Adhira means those who are ruffians, who are easily swayed by the movements of the material energy. They are like described like a leaf in the wind. When the wind blows, the leaf moves in one direction, and if the wind blows again, it'll go in another direction. So this is the age of this age, when people are not fixed in any particular consciousness, only how to push back the suffering and to find happiness through various means, through the senses and mind and also the intelligence. So here, he's becoming, go now. He's not saying wait. And this is also an indication of a principle that is very fundamental to our success in Krishna consciousness. Devotional service is now. It's not later, it's now. Now in the sense is that later never really comes, because the situations that we're waiting for are never guaranteed. So one should always act in Krishna consciousness at any stage of life. And depending on what particular situation one is in, one can serve the Lord in that particular situation. Kali Yuga is about to come. Vidura, who is actually an incarnation of Yamaraj, he has what is called his trikala jnana. He can see past, he can see present, and he also knows the upcoming future. He is good as the super soul. So in his role as his younger brother of Dhritarashtra, he's giving him very sanguine advice, very good advice, which will help him to accelerate his purification and ultimately achieve Krishna consciousness. So here we find that there's a very fundamental statement that is being repeated throughout this discussion here, and that the age of Kali destroys all good qualities of the living being. Manda sumanda mateo mandi bhaga upadritaha payena aprayesa sabda kalo yuge vismin janaha manda sumanda mateo mandi bhaga upadritaha. So that this verse, spoken by Sutta Goswami from the Srimad Bhagavatam, says that in this age of Kali, people are always misguided, unlucky, always disturbed, and always quarrelsome. This is the age of Kali. So even if a person is trying to develop good qualities, we find that it's greatly challenged by the atmosphere of Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga is so polluted with the lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, envy, fear. So many of the qualities that destroy the good qualities of the living entity is permeated and presented in Kali Yuga as the way of life. And so therefore one should understand that in this age, it's not a very good age for spiritual life. But then again, that is a conjecture. There is a very good age, is that in this age, because of the age, Kalir Doshani Dei Rajan Asti Eko Mahagun, Kirtana Evi Krishna Syam Mukta Sangam Padam Brajan. Kalir Dosha Nidhi, Nidhi means ocean, and Dosha means faults. Kalir refers to this age of Kali. So in this age of Kali, it is described there are an ocean of faults. One after another, there are so many disqualifications of the living being from spiritual life, and materially people are dysfunctional. They can't even be a good materialist in this age without committing sinful activity. So it's a very what we say deteriorates all the good qualities of the living being. But as the verse goes on, Asti Eko Mahagun, that in this age there is one bright light that can dissipate all the effects of Kali Yuga, and that is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So out of all of the unlimited ways that one can become destroyed, most materially and spiritual, still there is one hope. And it is explained according to the level of consciousness of the living entity in a particular age, a particular type of Yuga Dharma, or means for self-realization, is given. So in this age, the chanting of the holy name is the Yuga Dharma, the means for self-realization, and the means to push back the effects of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is so bad that even good people lose all of their good qualities simply by trying to live within this age. It's a very dysfunctional age. And as the Bhagavatam explains, as time goes on, the age will continue to deteriorate. And more it will become impossible for people to live in this age. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come with the elixir or the medicine. Eneche Asadi Maya Nasi Baralagi Harinam Mahamantra Lao Tu Mage. That in this age of Kali, there is the medicine to overcome the disease of Kali Yuga. What is that disease? The desire to enjoy the senses to unlimited heights. And what is that medicine? The chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So if one practices seriously daily the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then one, Prabhupada says, if we do this on a large scale, then Kali Yuga becomes a Satya Yuga. It becomes the golden age, where people will become fully Krishna conscious and all those qualities will manifest. So here we see the antidote for the horrible age of Kali. And if you read, Srila Prabhupada, of course, didn't write the 10th canto, 12th canto, but he did, when he was here, give lectures on the 12th canto from notes that he had previously recorded that were to be the 12th canto purports. And Prabhupada would read from them quite regularly, knowing that it was important for us to hear it at any time because of the age. And when you read it, it reads like a statement of prophecy, as it predicts what is happening now, as was written thousands and thousands of years ago. So when we take the words of Srimad Bhagavatam, we actually take the words of Krishna, who knows past, present, and future. And therefore, this age is considered to be good in the sense that the means for self-realization is quite easily available, not only for those who are qualified to practice, but for anyone who is sincerely wants to rise above the effects of Kali Yuga. So this chanting of the holy name is the elixir or the means for pushing back the age of Kali, which is so all-pervading. We see that lying, cheating, enmity, envy, various types of cruelty manifests in this age as something that is routine. We may, as devotees, we may somewhat be sheltered from this horrific age, but all around us, people are being destroyed by this age. It is very difficult. And then it says that as the age continues, when it gets towards the end of the age, people's lives will only be 20 to 25 years old, Prabhupada would say. If a person lives to 25, they will be considered a grand old man. That is the quality of the age. And sometimes people speculate about dinosaurs. We read in both in the Shastras and of course on the media, there was a class of very ferocious monsters that were roaming the earth, that were like gigantic lizards and gigantic monsters. Prabhupada says these were the effects of previous Kali Yugas. As these beings come at the end of Kali Yuga, and then people are just devoured by these beings. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the means to get out of the effects of Kali Yuga, and he appeared in the year 1486, which was the actual beginning of the Golden Age. His appearance in the world heralded about the beginning of an age within an age. What is that age within the age? Where every town and village throughout the world, the holy name of the Lord will be chanted. So as time goes on, Kali Yuga will continue to deteriorate the good qualities of the age, and simultaneously, Lord Chaitanya's mission will start to develop more and more and more. And you'll see these two complete types of worlds, two distinct worlds paralleling each other. The devotees and those who take the devotional service will become more and more powerful. And at the same time, the materialists will become more and more destroyed by this age, not only in qualities, but in actual existence. So here, there's a warning given by Vidura that, go north and reach to the Himalayas. take up residence there and begin your devotional life. By doing that, you will somehow free yourselves from the effects of Kali Yuga. And once you free yourselves from free yourselves from the effects of Kali Yuga, then it becomes easier, as it's mentioned here. Vidura wants his brother to become undisturbed by happiness and distress, which leads to the next stage, which is Nara. The word Nara means man, and Tam means best, or the best of all men. So that word Narottam means one who is actually fixed in executing of devotional service. Prabhupada uses the word sannyasi as a synonym or a parallel to the word Narottam, both and ultimately leading to the highest stage of devotional service, where one is on what is called Paramahansa. Hamsa means swan, Para means supreme. So one who reaches that stage, as Prabhupada said, is the first grade devotee, in other words, the topmost of all devotees. And so one has to seriously practice this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is the means for destruction of the age of Kali. Kali Yuga Pavana, Kali Bhuyanasana, Sri Sachinandana Namre. That Lord Chaitanya is the Kali Yuga avatar in this age, and he's chasing away the dog of Kali with the stick of the holy name. And Kali is running from Lord Chaitanya. But Kali knows that Lord Chaitanya is here, and he is making his movement more and more prominent. So Kali's working fast. Sometimes devotees and others conjecture, wow, this age of Kali, which is only 5,000 years into it, we see such degradation and such horrors already in such an early part of this age. Why is that? And this is interesting because if you read the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this describes Kali Yuga and all of the other ages where Lord Chaitanya does not appear. But in this age, if the description of Kali Yuga is mostly mentioned in the 11th canto, at the same time, the appearance and the mission of Lord Chaitanya is mentioned simultaneously in that same area, to show that because of Lord Chaitanya's presence, the effects of Kali Yuga will be destroyed. But Kali's a personality, and he is also very cunning. So he knows the Supreme Lord has come in this age. How will I ever become successful in capturing all of the minds and hearts of the conditioned souls? So he's working fast. That's why it appears that in this particular Kali Yuga we are in, degradation has already reached very high proportions, where people are eating their own children. What is going on behind the scenes, which you don't even know, is quite horrific. It's not even worth mentioning, not worth mentioning. We should not even mention it in an assembly of decent people, what actually is happening. It is so bad. And that's Kali, he's moving fast, but Lord Chaitanya is not to be defeated. So for the devotees, they're not happy simply becoming free from the effects of Kali. They want to bring as many souls into that safety zone as possible and give them the opportunity to reach the Krishna consciousness also. The devotees are also inspired to continue to push on this movement more and more and move back to the effects of Kali Yuga. So out of all of the ages of man, of course, there are 4 ages: Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Lord Chaitanya appears only once in every 1,000 Kali Yugas. So the other 999 Kali Yugas, there's an incarnation of the Lord called Gaur Narayan. And he teaches only up to the level of Vaikuntha. Only when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and he follows Sri Krishna himself, who leaves the world. This is what we're hearing now. Krishna is about to leave the world. Vidura knows that. As soon as Krishna leaves the world, that's the official end of the Pura Yuga and the advent of Kali Yuga. And he's warning his brother, the sage is very, very bad that is upcoming. Go to the north, fix yourself in meditation and prayer, and reach perfection and go back in Bhaktipada. Don't waste time. Because if Kali Yuga comes in, you might find yourself in very difficult circumstances. He wants to break his attachment to his family. He's breaking his attachment to his material body. Dhritarashtra has lost everything, but still, even at the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, even though he had lost all of his sons, there was no chance for the Kurus to gain the kingdom. He took up residence in the house of his enemy. He was living at the house of, under the care of Yudhisthira, and Vidura was also there. And there's one verse that is explained that just like a dog gets the remnants of the food offered by what is left over from the meal for the people who live there, Bhima was throwing his remnants to Dhritarashtra. Here, this is your meal. In other words, he was in a very disgraceful situation. He was more like here he was, a king, and now he was more like a beggar, and he's living very, almost like a vagabond. But the Vidura wants to save his brother and bring him to Krishna consciousness. Yeah, go to the north, don't waste time. The age of Kali is coming. Fix your mind on devotional service. Come to the stage of devotional service and go back home. Back to that. The Vidura was constantly criticized by others and by Dhritarashtra himself for trying to help Dhritarashtra. He didn't give up on his brother. He loved his brother very much, but he could see that his brother was in a very awkward situation, and there was nothing, no one else was really going to be able to help him. And Vidura was strong. He both basically told him, you're living like a dog, your teeth are falling out, you can't see straight, you're getting old, you're senile, and better to go. His wife was still there, Gandhari was there, his chaste wife. He said, he gave instructions to both of them, go to the north and finish out your life in Krishna. And Vidura had to undergo so much humiliation in trying to help his brother, even by his brother. Still, he didn't give up. This is a quality of a great soul, that sometimes in the process of preaching, one gets criticized by the persons they preach to, or they get, what we say, they get opposed by the persons they preach to. They're not respected or honored by the persons they preach to. They're considered a threat by these same persons that they're trying to help. But still, a great soul doesn't give up. That trying to give medicine to a sick person is not so easy. Therefore, sometimes we say, make it sweet so the medicine becomes more palatable, more desirable. And what is that sweetness? That generation. Take Krishna's prasadam and live your life in devotion. Don't try to make a nice arrangement in this material world, because there's no such thing. Any arrangement you make is always full of faults, and at the same time it will be destroyed by the enemy. So so this is a very, very important part of the Bhagavatam, trying to instruct those who need it but can't accept it. And this is the case Adira Asra. He's different. He's considered to be blind in two ways. Materially, can't see. Spiritually, can't understand. He's a prince. But he has a well-wisher. So it only takes one well-wisher. Srila Prabhupada became our well-wisher. And even though we even opposed Prabhupada, disagreed with Prabhupada, did not follow what he said, thought his many of his instructions were irrelevant, something that was good for India, but the rest of the world didn't really apply. Many people found fault or just wasn't able to really appreciate what Prabhupada was giving. But Srila Prabhupada never gave up. He never gave up. And even if a person was trying, but couldn't do it, kept making mistakes, kept falling down, Prabhupada would never give up on that person. Always thinking of ways he could somehow or other bring that person to at least to the chant of the holy names of the Lord. Okay, so this is a very important point in our Krishna consciousness here, that the age of Kali, Prabhupada said, don't stay around. Get out before Kali. He said, don't come back in this age. It's not going to get any better. The age is like that. But fortunately, by Mahaprabhu's mercy, we have the means to get out. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, March. It was such a wonderful class, and especially this class I felt was a rude awakening that we had to hear over and over again, because Kali Yuga is so crazy that it bewilders our minds to forget. And then Krishna's arrangement every morning. I was actually thinking, March, how every morning we have Bhagavatam classes, and how it's so important for us to hear. Like, I mean, I've heard that, but this morning, just hearing from your class, I said, wow, the power of Bhagavatam class is so important, because every morning it keeps our laziness in check. I feel keeps our minds in check. Like, I mean, like we started in the morning, like we said, we have 10 people, probably more will roll in. Now we have 21, but Bhagavatam class keeps us in check to make us snap out, and then probably we might sneak back in, roll in again later on, and then again come out. But we really need this, March. It's such an amazing awakening. Thank you so much for slapping us. Thank you so much for slapping us and waking us up. So powerful. Would like to ask devotees if any questions, clarification, please do raise. There goes Parikshit. Go right ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my whole obeisances. All glories to the Prabhupada, all glories to Lotus feet. Thank you very much for warning us about this age, and especially when you made the point that the age is deteriorating faster, because Kali knows the effect of chanting Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement would change things, so he's going to make it as bad as possible, as quickly as possible. That was one that I picked from. In one day in Lord Brahma, the Lord Chaitanya comes after Krishna comes. And you said the other 999 days, I was making notes, who comes, this Goran Narayan, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is a reincarnation in the other 900, because in each age there is an incarnation of the Lord that the process of the Dharma, the Yuga Dharma. So it teaches the principles of bhakti from the point of view of Aishwarya, or worshiping the Lord in awe and reverence, and attaining that mood in perfection, which allows one to reach the spiritual world, which is which is the
Mm.
Vaikuntha.
Vaikuntha planets.
Vrindavan is not open. It's only open when Lord Krishna comes. And Lord Krishna comes once also in 999 and 1,000 yugas.
Mm.
So when Lord Krishna comes, then right after that, Lord Chaitanya comes.
Mm. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So yeah, the Lord is always concerned about his soul, the souls that are suffering in this material world. So he always makes arrangements.
Thank you, Maharaj. Any questions from devotees going down the list? Please do raise your hand. Or
I have a group of devotees who are sitting with me.
I was just about to say, I thought I could see some devotee heads, Prabhu, if they would like to ask a question to Prabhu. I mean, sorry, Maharaj, Srimati Mataji, I think I see her. Not Srimati, Sri Devi, sorry. Marge, if anyone else would like to ask a question from your group, Marge, that's fine, Marge, or I can ask here. So either way is fine with me, Marge.
If you have a question, go ahead and we'll take your group as the preference and we'll let my group burn more.
Thank you, Maharaj. Anyone else has a question? Marge, there's a question that I would like to ask, and you said devotional service is now.
Yeah.
And we've heard that term many times, and we know that it's now. But at the same time, as you were mentioning, Maharaj, the effects of Kali Yuga, like you even said that even the good people in Kali Yuga will lose their good qualities because of the effects of Kali Yuga. So knowing that, Maharaj, and it's actually kind of sad and scary, how can we really understand the importance of now and not later? Because the mind is such a rascal. It gives excuses.
Well, there's different ways to approach that principle, but to understand how the material world works means that one cannot not project, how long one has. That's always something we always think, well, I'm young and I'm going to live so many years, or I'm this situation. Nobody's thinking so much about, leaving. All of us are thinking how to make plans to improve our present situation. So the now situation really makes one aware of the facts that in this world is padam yavad vipadam. It's a dangerous place. And at any minute, at any time, Prabhupada was giving the example. They were walking in Denver, Colorado through this one park. I was at a very nice park here. But he said, the material world is such that at any time, this whole place could be ablaze with fire. And then all of a sudden, everything changes. We saw that. I was in India in the year 1999, I think it was. And we were sitting in Mumbai. We were sitting in Radha Gopinath temple. And all of a sudden in Gujarat, huge earthquake. It was so big, it came all the way into Mumbai. And in the room I was sitting in, I was in the temple with Radhanath Swami in his room. It was early in the morning. It was around 4:30 in the morning, around just before Mangalarti. The whole room shook. So everything shook for, a few seconds or more, maybe 30 seconds or more. And then we later learned that thousands of people died in that earthquake. So all of a sudden, there's an earthquake, and I'm sitting in my house in Croatia. I'm chanting japa. March 16th, no, March 22nd, 2020. I'm chanting, walking back and forth in my room. The whole building starts to shake. Hot pictures are flying off the walls, crashing. Things are moving around the room. And then all of a sudden I was with another person. He said, Maharaj, let's go. So we had to run down the stairs and get out of the building. We jumped in the car and we went to a place where the area was free. So, you know, I'm just Janet Joplin like an ordinary every day. And first I thought, wow, everything's shaking. It must be ecstatic symptoms. But it wasn't like that. But then the shake was continuous, and I thought, oh, so, and I lived in that place for years, and I didn't even realize we were living on the epicenter of the earthquake fault, right in the center of it. Nobody ever told us that. And after that thing shook, 8 people died in that area, around that area. Buildings were, parts of buildings fell off and were landing on cars and smashing people and cars. So this is an example how all of a sudden, boom, your energy changes and you're in a complete different zone. It's just the way it is. That's the nature of this world. So what is now? Now means that there's no such thing as later, because later is a state of mind, and now is the only reality. Now is the only reality. If someone asks you what time it is, it's always now. It's always now. We plan, it says you should live in the present and plan for the future. You have to live in the present, because the quality of the future depends on what you do in the present. As you develop in the present, you actually make, you arrange the future in the same way. So therefore, there's no time, there's no sense of, well, later. Later, it means just an excuse for not doing something. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives it in a verse in one of his songs. Forget the past that sleeps, ne'er the future dream at all. Act in times that are with thee, and progress ye shall call. A very nice poetic expression. He's saying, the past is gone, the future is a dream. The present is the only reality. We can, I mean, in a reflective way, we can learn from the past. We can plan for the future, but we have to live in the present. You can't live in the future or in the past. People do that. They live in the future by making plans for happiness, and they get so absorbed in their plans for happiness that they forget about the present, and they lament about what happened in the past, and they live in the sorrows of the past, or in the dream state of the past. You know, everybody sits together and they look at pictures. Oh yes, that's you when you were so young, you're so cute. Look at you now, you're so ugly. What happened? Well, that's called time. Yeah, so this is the reality. And there was one yogi, he was a yogi who was popular during the time when I was, you know, just learning about life, like when I was a teenager. And he wrote a book called Be Here Now. It was by a person called Baba Ram Das, Richard Alpert. And he was a person who took drugs, LSD, and used LSD to, but he had one clear understanding, is that the only reality is now. So that also applies in the Krishna conscious way. Now is the time for Krishna. And Prabhupada said, you can be Krishna conscious in an instant. As soon as you fully absorb yourself in Krishna, you are fully Krishna conscious. And you can take years and never get anywhere. You simply waste time. But don't apply the principle of the immediacy of Krishna consciousness. It cannot be put on hold.
Thank you, Maharaj. That was very strong and very deep. Thank you so much. Would like to ask devotees if you have any questions, and also if you could please turn on your videos so that Maharaj can see us. And as if if you're not on the road, driving or anything, please do turn on your videos. We humbly request you so that we can thank you, so that Maharaj can see us and we can see him. Haribol. Any questions from devotees? Any reflections? Any thoughts? Yes, Nitya Gopal, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Wonderful class, very, very nice. I was contemplating on the thought how Vidura has a compassion for Dhritarashtra. Similarly, I remembering the Srila Prabhupada's and his disciples' compassion for all the jiva. So how Srila Prabhupada came and gave the Krishna consciousness to the whole world, the way Vidura came back and awakened the Dhritarashtra. I was just thinking on that thought, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Prabhupada had to undergo a lot of difficulties in order to do what he did, but he never gave up on it. He never let personal inconveniences or reverses discourage him from continuing his mission. So that was one of his most amazing characteristics, that he had genuine feelings for the conditions. Aside from wanting to fulfill the instructions of his spiritual master, Prabhupada was really feeling for the sufferings of others. That was his inner mood. And he exhibited that sometimes. There are many incidents that kind of illustrate that feeling that Prabhupada had. So yeah, that's a great soul. They feel for the sufferings of others. And they're willing to make personal sacrifices in order to relieve the people's suffering. And if you actually take that principle to the next stage, it takes that kind of sacrifice to actually change people's lives. Prabhupada, quoting his spiritual master, but he also referred to himself, he said, it takes 300 gallons of blood to make one devotee. Not easy.
Maharaj, you made a comment earlier on in following up with Nitya Gopal's question. Very nice question, very nice realization. Is you are sharing how much Srila Prabhupada also came to sacrifice and never gave up and followed his spiritual master. And if we look at the verses, Maharaj, in the few previous verses by Vidura's instructions to Dhritarashtra, I remember, I think last week, I forgot who was, I think it was Haryashva Prabhu from Philadelphia was giving the class, and he was saying that the words that Vidura used were very strong, they were not palatable, sweet, comforting words. They are very strong. You have this, you have bile, you have like very strong words, right? And it's because, like you said, Maharaj, it's because of care and concern. As devotees, practicing devotees in Krishna consciousness, trying to serve as much as we can for Srila Prabhupada's mission, how can we develop the mood of sacrificing or coming out of our comfort zone and really seeing that when someone comes to us, with a pushing us, really pushing us to grow, that it's love. And really coming out of the comfort zone. How can we develop that mode of sacrifice, Maharaj?
How to become that instrument for others?
Yes, Maharaj. Like really coming out, because sometimes, we tend to be very comfortable, especially after COVID. How can we really come out of, be like a real instrument?
I think it begins with understanding that someone had sacrificed for me, and therefore I'm benefited, I'm fortunate. So there is a sense of gratitude that comes with that. And that gratitude will help to inspire oneself to maybe try to do something to help others. And that feeling of, well, someone did something to help me and I'm in a good position or better position. Now I have the same mercy. Now let me see what I can do to help others. And that's one aspect of it, and that's the essence. But another aspect is my spiritual master, and in this case, we can also say Srila Prabhupada. And that's what he would like. He said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually says it. It's in the 7th chapter of Adi Lila. I can't remember the verses, but he says he's begging each and every one of us to help him distribute this mercy. He says, I'm a gardener and I have many fruit. And this fruit is in the form of a storehouse full of fruit. And I've been able to taste this fruit, and this fruit is very sweet. And I want to distribute this sweet fruit to everyone and anyone. But how can I do that? I'm only one person. So please assist me in distributing all these fruits. Taste the fruits yourself and give them to others. The Mahaprabhu is actually pleading with us to actually, in a direct way, to help. So, So you might think, well, I'm not so qualified. I'm just a housewife or a working person. How much time do I have? But everyone can do something. It's not so much how much you do, it's the fact that you make an attempt to assist your spiritual master or to somehow or other the idea in the Christian tradition, there is this commandment, which is considered the first of the 10 commandments, to love God with all your heart, with all your soul. And the second commandment is to love your brother as yourself, which means to whatever is good for you, that you've been benefited, try to give it to others. So that's what it means to love your brother, is that you have something that's benefited you. I want to share it. So it's this knowledge, it's this way of life, it's the knowledge and a way of life. So when we think about it, we think, oh yeah, I've been fortunate, so let me share with others. And that's the principle of human life, is that you'll see even in an ordinary day-to-day life, when something happens to a person and they become happy because of it, or they become benefited from it, they think, let me share it with someone. I want to share that happiness with someone, or I want to also give that benefit to someone else. That's normal. So you take that same principle and you expand it into, all right, Krishna consciousness is the success of life. At least I have some understanding. Let me try to share it. way or another. We also gave a class one time when we were up in Canada. We were trying to think how many different ways can you preach Krishna consciousness, looking for different outlets. We came up with close to 40 different ways to preach Krishna consciousness. Devotees were really brainstorming and coming up with things, such as radio preaching, putting books in hospitals, writing books, just thinking of different ways that you can preach through the computer, through going out and distributing prasadam. When you actually sit down and you really start thinking, you come up with so many ways. So it's not limited to just speaking philosophical teachings. Therefore, it becomes more easily for people to adopt it according to how best they can connect with it. If you're an artist, you can paint pictures of Krishna and share those big pictures with others. Prabhupada would say all of his artists that painted pictures under his guidance. He says these pictures are windows into the spiritual world. And people come and they see the pictures in the temples. They actually become Krishna conscious. Observing the picture, it leads to discussion. It has an impression. This is Krishna, and this is what Krishna is doing. You have Bhakti Vriksha, you have Ramhat, so many ways. You have Sunday feast, Rath Yatra.
Thank you so much, Marge. That was really amazing. Yeah, and especially Marge, when you said, and I like the first point, very much resonated with me, that if we think that someone brought me, make me, so I should, someone sacrificed for me. That was that really was pretty strong for me, Marge. Thank you so much for sharing that. Definitely can start to make a change in our consciousness, our thinking, that someone sacrificed for me. It was pretty heavy. Thank you, Marge. Srimati, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. It's so nice to see you after a long time. And devotees also, we are all missing on the call. Guru Maharaj, please come back soon. So, Guru Maharaj, thank you so much for the class. My question is, yes, Guru Maharaj?
We want you to come here.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. So, my question is, Guru Maharaj, like, I see most of the time we have this postponement mentality, like we don't do things right now. We just think, okay, we have still time, we'll do it later. What's urgent? So this type of mentality I see a lot because life is happening, so many things are going around. So we always postpone things. So how to handle this type of situations, Guru Maharaj? So if we push, so we'll be too much pushy. So by encouraging and by talking nicely, how we can make things going on, like make it like serious, like we have to do it now, not postpone these things.
I would say prioritize your life in terms of importance. Sometimes you need to sit down and actually put it on paper. So there are devotees who every day when they begin their day, they write what they're going to do throughout the day at the different times. And, some things you can get to immediately, some things may take a little while, and some things, when the situation is right, you can start to do it. But when you talk about Krishna consciousness, there's no such thing. It's always now. You can always chant. You can always associate with devotees. You can always somehow or other do some kind of worship and prayer. That cannot wait. But using your example, yeah, it's just the tendency of the conditioned souls to postpone things. And we postpone things that maybe are difficult to do, or things that we don't really feel so attracted to do, but at the same time, they have to get done. There's a kind of a joking cliche, so why wait to the last minute when you can wait to the last second? So it's just a feature of this age where people find the immediate to be the important.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Maharaj, there's one question that I would like to piggyback on Srimati because I can definitely relate to that. She and I have been really connecting very nicely, I have to say, and I appreciate that, we talk, and it's been nice to connect with her. So thank you for giving me that opportunity, Srimati Mataji. Maharaj, there's also this this mentality, of somebody will do it, right? And that somebody ends up being nobody, and I get that. Oh, Mataji, don't worry, somebody will do it. No, Mataji, somebody will do it. And then somebody ends up either you or nobody, and that mentality. And I don't know much if that somebody is a escape zone, as they call it, like how to get myself out of it, or if it's just procrastination or laziness or what it is. But how can we overcome that somebody? Because it always ends up being nobody, Maharaj. Or it's us.
Well, I have that problem too. Yeah, I know that you as a temple president, I'm sure you get that all the time. Okay, you have to run your temple and there's something to do, and you're looking for somebody, and you ask somebody, and they say, don't worry, somebody will do it. Right? It's a feature of temple presidents or people who have project responsibilities. So, yeah. I think you need to sit down and just kind of like discuss it and say, well, this is your service, and then you have what they call it, what is that thing? An accountability program. And people have to be accountable for what they say they're going to do. Nobody's going to tell you you have to chant Hare Krishna. Nobody's going to watch you to see if you're doing it or not doing it. It's up to you. But you understand the importance of it, so you do it. But then you can, when it comes to reading, you might think, well, if I don't read, I can still go on. So you somehow or other relegate that to a lesser importance. And then the immediate, which is always coming up, and of course, every day there's always something new that has to be dealt with as it comes up. And you start pushing these other things away, and sometimes even forget about it. So that's where management comes in. And then you have to really organize things in such a way that things don't fall through. And you have to find people who are responsible, take on the responsibility. Sometimes it becomes a duty, and other times it becomes just an option where somebody will volunteer to do it. So I have that concern also. I have projects and I sometimes put people in, I don't do it always, but people get put in place in the project. And somehow as time goes on, they just don't do it. And then I have to wonder what's happening. Oh, we'll get to it. When they don't get to it.
That is definitely a challenge that I face quite a bit, Maharaj.
So what you need in terms of a management scheme is you need what is called a second person, who is Mr. Nobody likes. You're the good guy, you're on the top. And then you have your assistant who keeps telling everybody, get it done. And he because he has that nature, he doesn't care what people think about him. So, and then every time people complain to you about him, you just smile and say, don't worry, I'll take it. So we call it the good guy, bad guy role. The guy on the top is the good guy. He's always friendly, smiles, and then we need a bad guy to push everybody else, whether they like it or not.
He can be the bouncer, right, Maharaj?
Yes. Yeah. But I just found out all of my disciples are so sweet, I can't find any bad guys.
Maharaj, I was gonna say the same thing. I end up being the bad guy and the police patrol and the everything because nobody wants to be the bad guy.
You have to be the good guy. The guy on the top is the good guy. And the bad guy is the one that works. The good guy says, hey, get him to do it. Whatever it takes, you know.
I'll try to find the bad. I'll try to find the bad guy bouncer in my temple, Maharaj. I think that's gonna be my 2023 mission.
There's always one around, don't worry.
Yes, Maharaj. I'm gonna work on that for sure to find the bad guy.
And then when people complain about the bad guy, you say, all right, I'll worry, I'll talk to him. And you know what, don't say that.
Well, that's amazing, Maharaj.
Oh my God. Another good guy. Anthony Morari. Welcome. I just one of a very close friend has just appeared and I haven't seen him in years. So
And he sneaked up behind you.
when you turn around, who's going to be there?
Maharaj, Dir Krishna said that we need a training program to develop bad guys for this purpose, Maharaj. What do you think, Maharaj?
Just got to find him.
Amazing. Any questions from devotees? Any thoughts, any reflection, clarification, please?
Sridevi's got her hand up.
I'm sorry, say again, Maharaj?
Sridevi, she has her hand up.
Oh, Sri Devi. She's in the crowd back there, right, Maharaj?
Yeah. He can be a bad guy too.
Actually, she and I will make a very good team if she was in the US.
Oh yeah, she'd be good. Yeah, she needs some engagement.
Yeah, I need someone like her. Come on, Sri Devi, move back.
Not all the time. Inside joke. Not a joke, it's just inside. So, okay, Sri Devi, she's going to talk to me and talk to you at the same time.
Oh, okay. But Sridevi, I can't hear you, Mataji.
I'll repeat the question.
Okay, Marge.
Since you're in this report, how Gandhari benefited simply by following Dhritarashtra, and we hear many examples of powerful spiritual warriors and their wives simply reap the benefit of following them. But today here in Kali Yuga, how can women also become Dhira and Narottam and Paramahansa? Because sometimes we don't have anybody to follow.
Sridevi, I don't know how to be Dhira because I'm in a woman's body and in my service, how do I be Dhira? That's my question.
Well, you have to be. You got no choice.
Marge, I think the only time I'm in Dhira, Marge, is when my day is about to end and I'm so tired at the night and I become like a bear.
I guess the question is, how can one in female body be Dhira? It's not like Krishna consciousness is relegated to one gender. But it's not so much being Dhira, it's being Krishna conscious in this sense. So I don't think you have to, the gopis, you can't say the gopis were actually Dhira in the sense of the terminology or the definition of the word, but they loved Krishna so much that nothing else was important. So in one sense, that is called, that is one-pointed focus. They focus simply on Krishna exclusively. So I think following, if you're talking about people who are in a married life, then that opens up a whole discussion about the dynamics of a relationship and how that plays itself out. But it's not like one person becomes Krishna conscious and the other one simply follows or supports. They go together usually. As they're working together, serving together, they're advancing together. More like a team that's on the same theme, same mindset. So even if the wife finds it difficult to be Dhira, if the husband is exhibiting that, she can also develop those qualities. Or she can support him in his role of becoming Dhira. And then she benefits from that automatically, even if she's not completely Dhira. She reminds him, yeah, just Krishna.
Maharaj, that's a question here by Dhira Krishna, and he's asking, and in relation to what you just spoke on, Maharaj, he said, Maharaj, is it like being Dhira in regards to the material world? No, is be Dhira in regards to the material world, but become the Adhira for service, for Krishna and his devotion in his devotional service.
Dhira is a supportive principle that allows one not to be disturbed by the change of the material energy. In other words, Dhira means not moved by happiness and distress, but is fixed on devotional service. Happiness may come, distress may come, or the features that cause happiness and distress will come. But the person is fixed in devotional service. That's someone who is actually on the platform of devotional service, which includes Dhira. Dhira is like a foundational building block by which one can practice Krishna conscious successfully. Those who are adhira, or easily moved by the changing of the material energy, cannot be fixed in Krishna consciousness. So, but we tell people just use your time to focus all of your time in devotional service. That's all. And as Maya presents her allurements or her distractions, then you have to be able to recognize it and not be allured by it or distracted by it. That comes from good japa. Yeah. If your japa is good, your mind is fixed throughout the day. Generally. So the strength of our sadhana is the foundation by which we build all of these qualities. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Oh, yes, Maharaj. Yes.
Is it like sometimes people say that like we are like totally unaffected by the change, and is there a thin line between like being lazy and Hira or
Not lazy, but maybe not caring.
or lack of enthusiasm or
For
like
Krishna, we were talking about this in Mapareham. There are different kinds of people who react to situations. Some reciprocate, some don't reciprocate, and some reciprocate according to what comes. And that's based on relationships. And I think your question is more on relationships. But Vera really refers more like if something happens to you in your life, does it increase your personal consciousness or does it take it away? So devotees will use any situation because their goal is Krishna consciousness and they try to see Krishna in anything. Therefore, they can use any situation to go deeper into their Krishna consciousness or to develop some kind of detachment, maybe more dependence on Krishna. But when it comes to working with other people, there's a concern that comes with that, and that you have to deal with. So it's not like you're emotionalist, and that's called dealing. As a doctor, you don't want to put yourself in a position of the patient, but at the same time, you have to be concerned about what the patient is going through so you can understand how and how to administer the cure. There's a genuine concern that needs to be investigated in terms of, well, what does this person need? Well, sometimes that takes the form of certain emotions, certain questions. So there's a concern there. It's not like, well, I used to be criticized for that, but I didn't care about anything. Yeah, when I first joined Krishna consciousness. Like not being awake. Which, yeah, so when it comes to dealing with other people, you have to put your attention, mind, and even the emotional concern into it in order to help to assist in some way. You can't be detached from it. You're detached from the results, but at the same time, you're attached to the service.
Thank you, Maharaj. Really amazing points, amazing questions too. Any questions from devotees? Any clarification? either online or those that are in person with Maharaj over there, please do ask your question, or you can post it in the chat and I will be happy to read it. And let me go down the list so I don't miss anyone here. Okay, if there isn't a question, Maharaj, would you like to end with a round of chanting, Maharaj?
Sri Devi wants a clarification on one point. So
Oh,
she-
sure, please. Yes, Maharaj, please.
So then, to the question I asked you, Maharaj, the answer is that everyone and anyone can become Christian. And so that's one of the key stages, whether one is in the spirit soul, the man's body or woman's body, everyone can reach the state of Paramahamsa. Is that conclusion?
Well, in Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sadhu Kabulnoy, Ravanadi Siddhi Chitte, Koriye Udoy. In the hearts of all living entities, your love for Krishna is there. And the human form of life is the advantage. This morning I was just reading in the Bhagavatam. There's a statement in the purport by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati that the human form of life is an advantage over all other forms of life, and including the demigods, because the demigods have too much material enjoyment. So it's hard for them to, put that aside and really perform austerities and become fixed in spiritual life. And those in other situations lower than the human beings, too much suffering. So the conclusion is too much happiness and too much suffering are both not disqualifications, but it makes things very difficult for practicing Krishna consciousness. Therefore, in the human form, there's meant to be a balance of that. So, and we see even in the human form, if people have too much material opulence, become enamored by that, you can't feelingly execute devotional service. Not possible. There's a famous statement in the Christian tradition that for a rich man to go to heaven, it's like a camel going through the eye of a needle. So the eye of a needle was a gate in Jerusalem where when they would come to the gate, the camel would have to unload everything and then go down, and only then could that camel get through that gate, which was called the eye of the needle. So the understanding is that one has to get rid of all of one's material baggage, or one can actually enter into the realm of spiritual realization.
Maharaj,
Nice. Yeah.
I learned something new about the gate. I completely forgot it until you spoke and Pritchett just confirmed that. I was like, wow. Thank you for bringing that point up, Maharaj. Really powerful.
Yeah, and there's truth everywhere, and you just have to find it.
Yeah. I just forgot the Christian studies after becoming a devotee, unfortunately, being raised a Christian. So it was.
That's what we usually do. Sometimes these things come back.
Thank you for bringing that point. It's really, really powerful because I've heard my dad say it so many times when I was growing up, and it's nice. It's a nice reminder. Thank you so much. Any other questions from devotees? Any thoughts? Maharaj, are there questions over there, Maharaj, that devotees would like to ask?
They're all in meditation right now.
Okay. Would you like to, Maharaj, would you like to end with a round of chanting since they're all in a very meditative mood, Maharaj?
Okay, they all agreed.
Okay.
They're all reaching for their bead bags. All right, so we'll do one round together.
Yes, Maharaj.
Jai Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama,
Rama.
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 That's the other guy's name. One's Krishna, one's Rama.
Right.
I was watching someone in the room was freaking out listening to you. I didn't say anything because I don't want to say anything. But make sure it's clear. It's not about speed, it's about clarity. It's about pronunciation. And if there's 32 syllables, that's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Not Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Although it's done, when you listen to Prabhupada, he does say Hare Ram something. But then again, he also instructed us to chant the third mantra, 32 syllables. And fluid. If you're hearing, it's easy. But if you're not listening, your mind is somewhere else, then you'll definitely pronounce improperly. And when you pronounce improperly, it's hard to keep your concentration. And when everything is clear in the pronunciation, the concentration is much more easy. Even if everything's going slow until you catch the sound, and then as the sound has become caught, and then feel it come automatically. And sometimes we're tired, sometimes we continually speak long. Makes you yogi. Your wife put yogi for you. Yogi for you. Very good. You ever make it for you? For yours? I was really happy after I went today. And I put Judge the last scene.
I just have this close.
Yeah.
Maharaj, I saw your post on Facebook about the chanting and the clarity. And I shared it with our temple WhatsApp group and with the devotees, how important it is to be so clear. Because we tend to slip, like you said, Maharaj, in the Ram Ram as opposed to Rama Rama. So I shared it with our group and devotees like that quote.
The A on the Rama is guttural. You can use the actual way of chanting. You pull it in instead of expressing it out. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Pull it, right? So you pull it in, and then it becomes easier to chant. You lose concentration by doing it. Not the way to say it. It's they call it guttural, which means what? Guttural.
Yeah, it's like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
And it's definitely not Hare Rama.
And not Ramo, like you said, Maharaj, in that quote too, Ramo.
Many kirtan singers still do it.
Nitya Gopal, go ahead with your question.
I have the question on kind of little different topic, Maharaj, on the farming side. I always contemplate on this question, how to come across the answer. As you recommend, Maharaj, we have to go towards the farming community and grow our own prasadam crops and vegetables. But I find one challenge is nowadays when we have to do the gardening or farming, how to use the pesticide. Without that, it's very hard to grow fruits or vegetables.
We have an answer. We have an expert here. Okay, I'll have to refer you to our expert. You want to come closer and answer it? This is a person who's been exploring this and also is working to implement it. So,
The question is mainly about the pesticides, right?
Yes, because we will be incurring the sin when we use the pesticide. We will be incurring the sin. So how do you understand that part?
So there is a way to make your own organic pesticide. It's going to repel all the insects. There are ways to do it. And if you want, I can send you the formula. If you can procure cow urine and neem oil and also some other herbs. I don't think they're difficult to find. But if you want some formula, I can definitely send you. It's a very good question. And we need to keep away from the pesticide as much as possible. Use organic manure. If you can make compost, there are ways to do it. Use that too. All the ways.
Yeah. I would love to know that, Mataji. That will be wonderful.
I will help in this. If you want.
So,
Yeah.
you give it to me and I'll send it to Anasuya, and Anasuya can make it available.
Yes, Maharaj, I can do that.
Perfect. Perfect.
And yeah, so you'll have something to work with then.
That was very
Sure,
fun.
Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You got it right on the spot, Nitya Gopal, like right then and there, the
I was-
available answer.
I was thinking on this long time. I was actually thinking to write to Maharaj. Maharaj, how should we deal with this? And I remember that like fortune to have the association of Maharaj.
And then there's a devotee right there.
I didn't do anything. I just,
Amazing. Any other questions from devotees? Any thoughts, any clarification, anything?
let's see. Yeah, so it must be about almost 10 o'clock where you are now in the morning.
Almost 9 o'clock, Maharaj. That daylight savings time started the beginning of November, so we are 9 o'clock now. 10 of 9.
10 minutes to 9. Okay. Good.
Yes. And if there is no questions and comments, no clarification, we thank everybody online and those with Maharaj for joining us on this morning's class. And we thank Maharaj. Maharaj, we really missed your association, as Srimati said, and we're so happy that we got your association and we have your darshan. We pray for your blessings as always, Maharaj, and we ask you to please be kind to us and show us, guide us, slap us if you need to. We can be stubborn. And don't give up on us, Maharaj, please.
If you don't give up on me, I won't.
I won't give up, Maharaj. No. And thank you all for joining us. Vanchakrapalibhyascha, Kripasindabevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
His Holiness Chandramali Swami ki.
Jai.
We'll be back on a regular basis, Srimati, on Sunday night. Or
good, ma'am.
if Sunday, it'll be by Monday anyway.
Sure, Gurmash. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.